البخاري في صحيحه عن سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. The hadith tonight, a collection of Bukhari, narrated to us by Sahl ibn Sa'd رضي الله عنه. All the Sahaba that we don't know a lot about, but we know that he narrated a number of hadith, and maybe at some point we'll kind of talk about him, or we do know about him. But mostly our information about him is kind of focused just on his riwayah. He was a Sahabi who kind of spent a lot of time with the Prophet ﷺ, and he gave us a couple of gems, Ali رضي الله عنه. And this is the theme of mindfulness of your tongue. This is what I called it. I mean, it may not be the best way of putting it, but really to kind of analyze or just take the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ pointed out the dangers or the benefits, the risks, the pros, the cons of one's speech, what you say. You say is actually very, very important in so many ways. And I think we underestimate that sometimes as human beings, and we don't take it as seriously as we should. And that's why I narrated the first hadith yesterday that was very focused on that. You can go back to it if you didn't hear it. But today I'm going to narrate a different hadith. The Prophet ﷺ also shares something that's definitely very interesting. This is what he says, عليه الصلاة والسلام. حديث البخاري قال: من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة. If whoever, this is what he says. Men, it means, men is not those who. It's conditional. It's a linguistically, it's a tool of condition. So if you're capable, if you're able to guarantee those who are able, but if they are, those who are able of doing this, if they're capable of doing it, it's like a little bit of a complex linguistic complex in kind of putting it. Those who are able, if they're truthful, if they're truly able to guarantee for me that which that exists between their lahiyin. The lahi is this is the two bones, the jaw bones, and he's talking about the tongue, alayhi salatu wasalam. وَمَا بَيْنَ رِجْلَيْهِ, that which exists between their legs. You don't need me to explain that to you. Those who can guarantee for me that which exists in their mouth, their tongues, and their farj, I will guarantee for them Jannah. Listen to this. This is a very specific usage of words that he produced, alayhi salatu wasalam. He used the word ضمان, أضمن, guaranteed. I guarantee it for you. You guarantee for this for me, I'll guarantee this for you. If you're able to always be mindful and be attentive and to be in control of what you say and of your sexual expression, then you are guaranteed Jannah. Because those are the two ways we mess up. These are the two ways that we end up messing up as human beings. One of the two that we cause real problems through. Now, other ways of dhunub exist, but alayhi salatu wasalam is not saying that others don't matter. He's just saying these two are very temptational. They're very temptive, like they're very open and they're very real in terms of they're a very a close part of our human nature. Very, very dear to us. Tongue, your speech, what you say, how you express yourself, verbally, mentally, intellectually, your ability to articulate, that's what makes you human. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did to Adam. He taught him how to speak. علم آدم الأسماء. He taught him the names, so he knows what is, so he can describe stuff. What makes you human is you can sit there, you can describe something to me. I don't have to see it, you can describe it. You can not only describe things that are physical, you can describe things that are not physical. You can describe an emotion to me. You can describe a thought to me. That's very, very specific to the human experience. Animals don't do that. You describe things. So your tongue is your ability to articulate. Actually, interestingly enough, this is a piece of information for you from a medical perspective. So if a child is born deaf, right? If after the age of 9, and some studies say it's a bit earlier than that, age 8, if that child does not develop a language of some sort, they will grow up to be mentally retarded. And this is a medical term, not a slang term. So they're mentally delayed. If they grow up without developing a language, they have to develop some language. Now if you teach them sign language, they'll be fine. But maybe no one's teaching them sign language. They have to figure out some way to communicate. If by the age of 9, they don't learn how to communicate, they end up not developing appropriately. If someone grows up and is born blind, there's no fear on their intellectual, cognitive abilities. But if they are born deaf, they can grow up mentally delayed because they didn't develop language. This happens in overseas, by the way, all the time. All the time. Like in the small villages I came out, a lot of people who are mentally delayed, they're not mentally, they're just deaf. They were just deaf as children, but no one cared. They're one of 12 children who has time. You'll just figure it out. And if they never learn how to articulate and communicate appropriately, they end up not making it. That's how important language is. That's how important this thing is. Oh, it's very important to us. Be very careful how you use it. If you can guarantee it, that it doesn't harm others. And then the sexual piece, that's a whole different thing. Let's not get into that today. But I think you understand what I'm going by. It is just as, I think we all can agree, it's just as dangerous, probably a little bit more in some ways for certain age groups, and especially for guys. It's a problem. If you can guarantee these two, the Prophet ﷺ is telling you, I guarantee Jannah for you. You have his word, alayhi salatu. Yawm al-Qiyamah, you say, I didn't make mistakes on these two fronts. You have his guarantee, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Definitely something worth at least contemplating and thinking about. And I think it's a very powerful hadith in that way, that he used the word يضمن, I guarantee it. Because it's so hard for us to guarantee these two things. They're so difficult. And that's why we require a lot of coaching, reminders. We need proper environments, proper setup, proper suhbah, companionship, so that we can learn to control them. They don't get the best of us at some point in our lives. يروي الإمام البخاري في صحيحه عن سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.